business is approval of minutes from the previous meeting.
So moved.
Got a motion, here a second?
Second.
Any discussion? It's not, that'd be known by aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. First thing on the agenda, judicial building update and budget report.
Okay.
The mayor and I think.
And we have a
PDA
group of people,
members.
and we're gonna let them come up here
Yeah.
to the table, and I'll introduce them. And okay, we just had a meeting of our PBA, and we've made really remarkable progress over a period of months here, and we're have some really successful outcomes of what we're doing. So what we want to do today is present to you the some information regarding the pricing of this. This work of our team here has brought this thing in at this point in time within the budget and with contingencies. So this gentleman here first is Mr. Jerry Preston. He's with Pinnacle Construction Partners. He's what I guess you would say the owner's representative.
Correct.
Next to him is Mr. Steve Johnson. He's the vice president with Grisham and Smith Architects. And then down there is Mr. John Thayer. He's the project manager for Bell Construction, who is the group that's going to be helping us build this thing. So we're going to let basically Mr. Preston, you have this on your iPads here. The same thing that's sort of been discussed, but we want to review this in a bit of detail with you so you'll get a complete overview of what we're doing and what we're hoping we can ask you to do. We want to basically ask you today to hopefully recommend moving us on to budget for some final consideration of just helping us decide how we're going to fund this thing, because we do have it at a point where we've said we wanted to reach a number of $73 million of total cost, including the $5 million we already appropriated and spent. So we're there. We just want these folks to help you get some confirmation of that and understanding, and feel free to ask them questions anytime you so choose. So they have their iPads open, and the first is just the first page is just the I guess you could say the cover page, and the next page or two you have there is sort of the agenda, but it gives you an outline of the whole structure of where we've been and where we are right now and where we're going. So Mr. Preston will go forward with that discussion, and feel free to interrupt as you think you need to.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor and Mr. Chairman and committee members. What we've done today is we met with the PBA and presented the design development pricing package and estimate, and that was approved to proceed forward to the construction documents phase, which we'll wind the DDP phase up here this month and proceed at the end of the month, first of the year, into construction documents, and that's what took place earlier today. Let me just explain sort of in concept what we've been doing over this year. We started, late last year, early this year with schematic design development, and that's the first phase of putting a project together. And of course, the program was developed by Justice Planning, and they did a very detailed job and really a good job of identifying, what the building needs to be. But during schematics, that was developed up till July 1 of this year, and then we went through a fairly aggressive pricing package at that point in time in development with Bell Construction and Gresham and Smith, and arrived at the fact that we were in budget after we went through that process. And then we got approval to go through design development phase, and that's what we have just completed. And what you do at that point is really take the schematic design and really flesh it out and detail it out, so that you have a completed design. They're not construction documents, but they're completed design documents, and it allows us to go through a very detailed process of pricing, which we have completed. And in doing that, we do have the project in the budget at this point, and we are slightly under the $64 million target for the building. That's the guaranteed maximum price target for the building is $64 million. We are just slightly under that. We've taken a very conservative approach. We still have a 6% contingency inside the project. So we want to make sure that we protect the GMP on bid day when we actually contract the full project. We want to make sure we have some flexibility in order to do that. So we do have a 6% contingency inside the GMP target or inside the estimate. Also, we have $1,300,000, which is approximately a 2% contingency outside of the project as well. And then we have a number of alternates, which I'll go through briefly here just shortly. And again, it's another conservative approach to make sure that we can hit the target when we bid the project next year. So with that, we have proceeded on to finish up the estimate and so forth. So with that, I'll go through the what's on your screen right now, and then we'll go to some other sheets real quickly. But the other item, number 2, I just want to touch on that. That's the Lytle Street project. We're coordinating with that project. It's going to be developed from Barker Street or Baker Street all the way up to Church, and so we're coordinating with the design team on that with our project. As the next one is really the demolition. We've completed the demolition on the project, and that piece of the project has gone well. And also within the documents, the next item is a cash flow, and as we move through the screens, you'll see that as we move on. And then the rezoning schedule, we are in the site planning approval. We're in the process. The second reading of the council is tonight. And then we'll be moving to hopefully the third reading of the council in December the 17th. And also we're moving forward with the site plan approval as well, which is scheduled to go before the Planning Commission on the 16th of December. And then our future key dates, we'll have an early release package in January. January the 18th is what we plan on completing that package, and then that will go out for bids, pending obviously funding. And we'll have excavation, foundations, underground utilities, ground slabs, and some steel package. And then we will have construction documents complete by June of next year, and finish up the final package for construction, and have substantial completion April the 1st, 2018, and full building operation in June 1 of 2018. So that's kind of what we went through, and just give you a quick overview of the agenda and the information that we provided to the PBA. The next screen that you have is, and I won't spend very much time on it, but the next one is just a budget. That's the $5 million that's previously been allocated, and that documents all the cost to date against the $5 million. You can see at the bottom there, we're in the neighborhood of about $300,000 to the good, still having that remaining. So we're in good shape with that allocation and completing the design process with the $5 million. So if there's no questions about that, we can move to the next screen, and that will give you really the quick overview of the project and the estimate. We are now, you can see there, the budget of $73 million, and as we've said, of course, we had allocated $5 million, so that leaves a remainder of $68 million to be funded, and we do believe that that is a good number and a solid number to proceed forward with. As I talked about the estimate, we've taken a conservative approach and make sure that we can protect really the GMP target upon bid day. And you can see the current estimate, DDP estimate there of $63,726,839, and there's the contingencies, the 6% that I spoke of earlier. That is a part of the estimate. And then below there, you can see the alternates there that we've got listed. And again, we hope that being successful, we can actually put these in the project, and on bid day, we'll have the money to be able to allocate and also fund those particular alternates. So with that, what I think I may do at this point, if it's okay, Mr. Chairman, I'll have John Thayer talk a little bit briefly about how they went about putting the estimate together and sort of the steps that they took.
So we reached out into the subcontractor market and got actual pricing, budget pricing from 3 to 5 subcontractors for each trade on the project. There's a lot of construction going on in Middle Tennessee right now, so rather than relying on historical data, we've reached out into the market. Prices are changing a lot and have been for the past 12 months. So we've reached out into the community to get budget pricing and input from them. We feel really confident in this budget number. Our own internal estimating team also did a complete takeoff of every component in the building so we can check the pricing that we got from subcontractors, make sure it's accurate, make sure we've got a total and solid scope. But as I said, we feel real confident that this is a firm number, and when we'll be able to meet it when we bid the job in the spring.
Thank you, John. Steve, would you like to add on to the process?
Well, it's been a very collaborative effort. We have worked closely with Bell from the beginning to have cost in mind and align the scope of what the county needs and what was defined by the program, and to have our focus to get the very best value for the dollar for what the county needs, and work in close coordination with Bell on what things cost and what's the smart thing to do. So I think this is a result of almost close to a year-long process to get us to this point, a very careful effort about matching needs and cost and value. And the building has been in a very public forum for many months now, and has had a lot of scrutiny by a lot of people. It's been a very open process.
The actual design of the exterior and also the floor plans have been set for some time now, and then it has been just a matter of making sure that we have a solid number on the cost estimate, which we do believe we have now. And as I said, we've taken a very conservative approach still to the number, and making sure that that we can actually contract it upon bid day. And let me just say again what the kind of the schedule would be is we're going to start developing upon funding. We're going to start developing an early or at least bid an early release package, and that would start construction March 1 of next year. And so that will be probably about a $12 million package, or somewhere plus or minus. So it'll be a pretty substantial package. Then we'll complete the construction documents in late spring, and then finalize the final package, and again complete in April of 2018. So, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Chairman, are there any questions?
Any questions, committee members?
I have one question, and this has to do with the design of the courtrooms. I heard from some attorneys not too long ago that you couldn't see the witness from one of the benches, and I can't remember if they said it was the plaintiff's bench or the defense's bench. I guess I wanted to follow up with that and see if that had been corrected.
I think it has. We built a full-scale mock-up of a courtroom that was reviewed by all the users of a courtroom, and modifications were made to sight lines from that mock-up so that the sight lines were all corrected. So I believe the answer is yes. We have really studied that and built a full-size mock-up and had everybody sit in the chairs, and we revised the mock-up actually and got approval of that.
Yeah, I think it was from the mock-up that you're referring to that some attorneys were in there and identified for the first time that they couldn't see the witness from one of the benches, but it sounds like that's been revised since the mock-up.
what took place in a little bit of the process, we left the mock-up open for 3 days, and we had good participation and people, taking part in that. And really, it had to do a little bit with the tables and the position of the tables and the podium. And so we had the podium where you could move it around in the tables. And so I think what happened is we continued to move the tables and the podium until I believe everybody was fairly well satisfied with that.
Any more questions?
Did you say March 16 is your next construction package milestone?
March the 1st is when we
March
would
1st.
start construction.
Okay, and you thought that initial was about $6 million?
Oh, probably more like 12 million
Okay.
is probably what it'll be.
That's excavation, foundations, utilities, ground slabs, and steel package.
Okay.
We won't have to borrow all the money in 1 year. We can split it, can't we?
We think we can split it. Ms. Nolan is back there. She could better advise it, but we,
Let's go to the next screen, if you will, and that'll help. That has the cash flow on it. Should have the sort of the cash flow, and there you can see either through the numbers or also through the chart below, the graph below, how the money would flow. Now I have to stress though that this is certainly an early cash flow projection, and we'll continue to refine that, as we get more detailed schedule and so forth in activities. But that gives you a good idea of how the cash would actually flow.
of course, this is just the $64 million on the construction piece of it.
Correct.
There's a bit more other cost in
Correct.
addition to this. So the first 12 months here is about 32 million, and the second 12 months is about 32 million as far as the way they've projected this for construction purposes. But we still have some other fees like the architect and engineering fee is separate from that. So the 68 million, we need 64 plus 4 million to finish the project.
Basically, you'll be going to the bond market in increments, like if you need 12 million.
Well, I don't know if we're going to do it. We may do it in 2 increments.
Well, in that first part, we can borrow from ourselves. We'll just, do a note from the debt service fund and use those, we've done that many times with schools. And then as it got on and the other projects piled on, then we went. And so, we've got this, and you may perhaps, by the time we get there, schools might be presenting something too. So that's kind of my plan.
Yeah, but with the speculation that interest rate is going up, do you think
Well, that'll play a part as well.
do you think we need to borrow?
Well, I've alerted our financial advisors of what we're doing, so, they'll be giving us their recommendations as
Okay.
well.
Okay.
So basically, you'd be, say the first incremental package would be around 32 million.
No, what they're saying, the first incremental package, this, what we're
About
calling-
12 million.
About 12 million.
About 12 million.
And
And
this-
that, we're still refining that, but just that's a rough number for right now that we think it'd be.
And Ms. Nolan is basically was saying that we could possibly fund that ourselves until we actually borrow new money and replace that
And
money.
replace it, we'll reimburse ourselves.
So we might initially fund that piece ourselves, then borrow some money 1 year, and then the next year maybe borrow the balance of what we need.
However, we will be asking the commission for full approval of the
That's
whole
what I was
project.
thinking,
We're not
yeah.
gonna piecemeal
Yeah, okay.
the asking
Right.
money. You
Yeah,
will-
one complete price,
Sure.
commissioner will approve, and then you will adjust
We
it out.
may borrow
Right.
incrementally, or we may
Yeah.
at once we
And
get
then
the other
that
stuff in there.
speculation, interest rate going up, you may have
Right.
to go another route or whatever.
Mhm.
But the
But we'll be
commission,
asking the commission
for the entire
to
package.
bless it, yeah.
To bless the
Yeah,
It'd be,
funding of $68 million.
yeah.
be a situation, the commission doesn't need to be involved in micromanaging
Right.
the money part of it. And say, well, we need to vote on X million this time, et cetera,
We have to get the whole thing
Sure.
Yeah.
approved, so
Yeah.
we know we can have a project
Yeah.
that we can complete.
But y'all are pretty confident as far as the bottom dollar I mean, you know, it's kind of like how eyes up asking that question, but the bids and everything, the companies that you're working with, they'll be able to come in with those prices and everything that you're looking at as far as, you know, we don't need to have a lot of surprises to hit us at the last minute and say, ooh, look here, up jump the devil, you know.
Sure, and we've done a couple things to help mitigate that.
Okay.
And one is reaching out to the subcontracting community, the people that are in the market,
Right.
that are determining what these costs are. And that's one reason we have done that. And then also, as Jerry mentioned, carrying the contingency at this point further protects the county and all protects the budget.
Of course, there are variables that no one has the answer to as far as material, et cetera, you know.
Sure,
But
sure. Things
as
happen.
long as y'all are comfortable, you know, that.
You know, I think if we, as I've said, we've tried to take a real conservative approach
Sure.
to protect the budget. And one of the items particularly that we're gonna have in the early bid package is the steel frame. So we're actually gonna bid the steel frame and go ahead and get that price locked down and so forth. So that, the more we can do, you know, in the early packages, the better protection we have as well. So that's another conservative approach.
And steel's cheap right now, so now's a good time to lock that
We
in.
need to lock it down.
Yeah.
I have a question or
Go ahead.
two. Thank you. The cost estimate for the ad alternates, you've got a list of
Yes.
3 or 4. Are those in order of priority as you've listed them on?
Right now they are, yes,
Okay.
sir.
All right. And would you clarify what, on the bottom of that page, it says clarifications and assumptions. You've made some, like down escalator excluded, street lights provided by the city. The garage will have approximately 359 spaces. Are those things that are yet to be cleaned up, and is that where we may need to allot money for?
No, sir.
Or do you think there's money saved?
No, this is just letting, a little more clarification of
Okay.
what's in the project, what's not in the project.
Okay.
But the project is the project, so these will not be added back or taken
Okay.
away. This is just a clarification
So
so
those
that
are all-
everybody understands, you know.
Those are all part of the bid package?
Or they're either in or they're out. You know, they're either included or out as they're tagged there.
All right. And really, this is more of a PBA committee question, but are furnishings involved in this $64 million?
If you'll look up above on that sheet, there's a line item of $1,347,000 for furniture
Okay.
and fixtures and equipment, FF&E.
Okay.
That's in
Yeah,
addition
yeah.
to the 64 million.
That's in addition to
Right.
the actual bid target.
Right.
And we also, if you'll look above that, we have another owner's contingency of 1.3. Now that's to cover, you know, we want to have that
Sure.
contingency as
That's
well
right.
to be able to move it from line item to line item if we need it. So again, we tried to be conservative, what I call above the line item or in the project, in the GMP, but the things that are in addition to the GMP, you know, we've tried to be conservative and protect those as well with the $1.3 million.
Perfect. Equipment, ACE, HVAC, things like that. Have you picked, I mean, did you kind of settle on a middle of the road kind of equipment, or are we going high with good equipment and maybe trying to work our way down as we need cuts, or you bring us deducts or alternates?
We've gone through in schematics during June. We spent the whole month of June of really refining the project and making sure we knew exactly what you're talking about, the level of quality that we
Right.
wanted to be at. Again, at the end of DDP, which we have just completed, the estimate, we have reestablished that as well. And so, and Steve and John can add to this, but I think we did not want to compromise the building operation, the operational cost or anything by downgrading equipment or create really future cost as well in durability. So we wanted to make sure that we protected that as well as we went through this process. But Steve and John may want to speak to
There were a
that.
couple things that we held very sacred to the, as we went through the cost cycling. One was to preserve the security elements of the building so that it was a very secure building. Second was that the mechanical equipment, MEP, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing equipment was very high quality so that the building would have a long life
Right.
and be easy and low cost to operate. So those, we held very strong to those, to not let go of that. And then we did a lot of maneuvering with finishes and simplicity of shape of the building and other things that equate to cost. But the security, the function of the courtroom, and then the mechanical systems, we really did not downgrade very much. We did and it had to do with maybe the size of the tank for how long the generator would run, you know,
Okay.
some things like that. But the fundamental systems of the building are very high quality
Okay.
for the kind of building it is.
Good.
A long life, a lot of heavy use.
I was hoping that's what you would say.
The money is not in finishes and the
Right.
aesthetics of the building, although I think
Right.
it's an appropriate aesthetic. We paid a lot of attention to that.
Sure.
But
And what people need to understand is sometimes it's worth paying that extra money for a class system, whatever it might be.
for the taking the long view.
Yeah,
of
from the
how
whole
it's gonna
maintenance, from the
operate,
whole
yes,
maintenance
yes.
standpoint and energy standpoint, so, I'm sure the PBA doesn't wanna just beat you up on whatever the cheapest system is. We want something we can all be proud of.
They ask
And-
these same questions even
Yeah.
today.
Almost
They ask
literally
about what
that
is the
same
life,
question.
There you go.
what's the life
Several times,
expectancy of
actually.
these
Yeah,
systems?
perfect.
And it's an appropriate question.
So we've got a good system set up right now.
Yes, we do.
Good building, we'd all be
We
happy
have,
with.
yes.
Okay.
We all basically approached it with not being penny wise and pound foolish, and the main integral elements of this building, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. That-
I mean, one of the very first things we did was set up a visioning session with all of the users, and some of you may have participated in that. And the very first one was public safety, and the second thing was building operation. And we've gone back to those guiding principles many times to decide, to help us decide what was the right thing to do. And yes, it's a very high quality, as low operating cost building as possible for the kind of building it is.
I have a question, Mr. Mayor. Who says the garage will have approximately 359 spaces. The county went in partnership with the city on their garage, and it wound up the debacle of all the problems with it and everything, you know. I'm sure they've been approached that, could they help us build this garage and pay for part of it? I'm sure you've already approached them with that.
We gotta know.
We did approach them and they elected not to participate. We are building this garage whereby it does have the ability to put 2 more levels of parking there at some point in the future if we so choose. So it'll have the infrastructure to do that, but they're not going to participate in.
But initially, it'll be 2 levels
It's,
with the capability.
it's 4 parking levels.
Four
It'll
levels.
appear as a 2-level building if you see
Right.
it from the outside, but it's 4 parking levels.
But is there any way we could exclude them from using this park?
No, I think we just gonna have to go ahead and be a professional about this and do our best to work together.
Never hurts to ask.
No, we did ask it. We had a very good conversation about that.
Well, I know in the Birch building, I've been very disappointed in seeing how they let it go down. And I feel like their maintenance people or the city did not put the money in to keep it up. And I hope that we will keep our buildings up. We do. And I think our buildings are looking pretty good. And and I know when I saw it on television with all the wiring and so forth that rats had gotten into and so, and I thought, this is absurd, because this could have been, it could have been taken care of. So I would like to see our building built in a way that we don't have, where the rats can get into a lot of this stuff. So, 'cause,
Put
I
some good
mean,
traps out.
we might have to go to Walgreens will get denied.
I think it's a good point, though. It's important to keep a building, looking good and that it's well maintained. And I think that really kind of, sets an atmosphere, that's important. I really do.
I know our buildings that we have now, when I go in them, they look nice and clean and well kept.
Right.
And I expect the employees to do a good job.
Any more questions? Commissioner Gooch, you got any questions?
No. Good presentation. It looks nice.
What do you need from us, Mr. Chairman?
Well,
We,
probably a motion then.
we need
Motion to
A
send it
motion.
on the budget.
a recommendation from the Property Management Committee to forward this on the budget and ask them to, I guess, give permission and approval. I don't know how the structure will be said, to fund $68 million to construct and build this project.
I will make that motion.
I'll second it.
Got a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Commissioner Baum, you need to be very familiar with everything we discussed because you're on budget and they'll probably be hitting you up pretty good.
Budget will be delighted that it's only 68 million more than budget.
We stayed within our initial budget estimate.
Yeah, the last one I heard was 85 million. I thought this is a lot better.
And we've got almost $5 million of contingency here.
Any more discussion? Not call the roll.
Commissioner Baum,
Yes?
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Cush,
Yes.
Commissioner McAdoo.
Yes. I can't say PBA and everybody worked hard on it and put a lot into it. And to me, they done a grade A job. We should be thanking them for bringing us this information like this because it make our jobs easier in financing a project this size. PBA was very helpful with our workhouse out there. There was one commissioner that was on the PBA board at that time. And the PBA board this time, along with the mayor and our finance director, have done a wonderful job with this size project. So, any more questions?
I would also like
Comments?
to say that we also have 3 really good partners here
Oh,
that
very, very much so.
have the county's best
Yeah.
interest in their heart.
Very much so. Very much so. Okay. Any more discussion on this project? If not, thank you guys.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank
Thank you for a job well done.
Thank you.
It's a privilege to work with.
Thank you.
I'll be
See you soon.
Thank you for a
Yeah,
job
see you.
well done. See ya.
2 underground and 1 on the grade and 3 out.
Okay, Florence Road property update.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, before we go to that item, I want to bring one other thing I wanted to say to the Property Management Committee. Mr. Broden, please. Mr. Broden,
Mr. Scott,
Mr. Scott Broden, we're not through with this meeting, please. Go outside and talk to them, please, if you need to. But anyway, I want to tell you, when we talked about the demolition of the properties that we've taken down there, and you're well aware that we had some tanks that we had to remove from the property over there. So when we were doing this demolition, they explored a bit further in that tank area there, and there was a bit of odor in one little spot there. We collected some soil samples. We had those soil samples tested, and they tested below threshold. There's no necessity for any further remediation on the environmental. So I just wanted to make a point on that. And that's, I think I put those couple little pages on your last.
you did.
So that's all I want to say about that, Mr. Chairman. Okay, now the Florence Road property. I simply want to tell you this. We've had this discussion ongoing, and you're aware of the environmental difficulties that occurred on some other properties, not this particular piece of property. So we had to go through this process of getting a brownfield agreement, which would basically indemnify the county from any future liability. So we had to give a notice, and we gave a notice in October, a 30-day notice, I think, and it was expired like November the 21st. And there were no people that made comments that would affect us executing that brownfield agreement. So the state of Tennessee has told us that we're now in a position to actually sign the brownfield agreement, which you have already authorized us to do. So we'll be signing I'm going to sign it, I think, tomorrow, and we'll send the copies of that to the state, and they will sign it. Then we're in a position now to actually purchase the property, which you have authorized us to purchase the property as well. So we're working on closing documents, so we're going to have that property in our ownership here, it appears, within a week or so. So just wanted to give you an update on that we're finally worked through the difficulties and the complication of some of these things that occur from time to time.
Any discussion on Florence Road property? I think all of you are familiar with what the man talked about. Okay.
Everything's in order on that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, because didn't we approve like $1,250,000?
$1,250,000 is the purchase price.
And there's, since that time
It
till
is-
today, it's still the same
It's
number?
still the same number there.
Okay, any other business to be brought forward tonight?
There's an old adage that you have to dress for success, and I think we're going to be dressing for success with the new judicial building to recruit different industries, and I think that's a progressive step forward.
It's going to be really a nice addition to the
It will.
downtown Murfreesboro.
Nice addition.
It'll show that we're in the 21st century too. You know.
Believe it or not, that judicial building is like the top of a project that we're looking at that's gonna trickle down. It's gonna take care of a lot of issues that we have with space and other things. And I do not wanna elaborate on everything that's gonna take care of, but you'll see a trickling effect, and it should help us out all around. Any more discussion? Anything else to be brought up tonight? Not meeting adjourned.